Welcome to the Realizations Podcast. I'm Andrea Gordon, your host, and I'm excited to explore the world of real estate with you. In a world where perceptions often overshadow reality, Realizations seeks to redefine what it means to be a realtor. Join me as we peel back the layers of the industry, uncovering inspiring stories and celebrating the good in real estate. Whether you're a homeowner, a fellow realtor, or simply curious, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Realizations, where perceptions meet reality. Let's dive right in. I'm here today with one of my very, very favorite people on the planet. She is my coach. Her name is Vanda Martin. I've been coaching with her for 8.5 years, and she has more than quintupled my production since I started working with her. She is beautiful, brilliant, brainy. I'm going to embarrass her by telling you guys a story about how I met her. I was at a Tom Ferry seminar at Disneyland, and we were in a hotel lobby, and I started talking to her, and I remember meeting her. She was this absolutely beautiful, tiny dynamo, and she had so much energy. And I remember thinking to myself, I wish I had a coach like her. And we got to talking, and then I thought, I could have a coach like her. She's a coach. So I contacted her, and she became my coach at the Tom Ferry organization. And then later she went off to create her own incredibly successful coaching company. And I, of course, followed her because I would follow her anywhere. So that is my background with Vonda. I hope you enjoy our conversation today. So hello, Vonda.
Oh my gosh, hello, Andrea. And my heart is the size of this planet. Thank you so much.
Oh,
It's
of
such an
course.
honor to be here with you. You know what? I got to give it back to you too. You are such an inspiration, and it's such a pleasure and joy for me to be
Oh,
part of your team, to be your friend, to be your coach, your mentor. So thank you for inviting me here. I appreciate you immensely.
well, thank you. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you came here from Brazil, and you are a completely self-made person. So please tell me about your background.
Thank you. Well, I hope we have the whole day. No, just kidding. So first of all, yes, for some of you guys who know me already or never met me before, I came here from Brazil 35 years ago with no English, $500 in my pocket, and a suitcase full of dreams, hopes, and some books. And I was determined to learn English, to grow and make a life that was beautiful and successful enough to help my family in Brazil as well. So, Andrew, as you know, I grew up poor in Brazil, and like many of us, in struggling, but I always had the mindset that everything is possible. So when I came here, I fell in love with the country. I fell in love with the people. I knew I was going to stay. I loved the mindset and the energy of this American great people. Then I got married and had kids. I was living in Los Angeles. First, I lived in San Francisco for a while, and then Los Angeles. My husband at the time, he's from the Bay Area, so moved to the Bay Area. Making a long story short, and you probably are going to ask me how I started in real estate, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
I
So
am.
he got a job in the Central Valley, Andrea, and from the Bay Area, moved to the Central Valley, Stockton, Lodi, Manteca area. And I always loved real estate. Alice. And so 1999, I went full time in real estate and loved it. And the story continues. Did really well and learned a lot and helped
But
a
by the
lot of
way,
people.
I want to interrupt you right here. Did
Please.
really well. This is a person who at one point was making 20 sales or more. Was it a month or a week?
Well, well, first of all, I started. I want to say did well because did well comparing with most agents that struggle in the beginning, right? So my first year full time, 1999, I sold 32 homes. My second year, I sold 62 homes, but I have to be here back a little bit. Actually did well in terms of money, but Andrea, as you know it, I told you before, I was miserable
Yeah.
because I didn't have what everybody wants. I didn't have the time, and I was not having the life that I wanted. So I was doing what many agents do, Andrea. I was selling out of energy, enthusiasm, and passion, but I didn't have the structure, I didn't have the system. So I was pushing, my darling. I was grunting all the time. And finally, one day I realized after many days of suffering that I was feeling anxiety away from my kids. At the time, Andrea, I had my kids were both two boys under 6 years old. So I was living with my husband, my two kids under 6 years old, and my mom that came from Brazil most of the year to live with us, who needed my attention. She had depression. And I was feeling very guilty. You know, I was selling a lot of homes, 32 homes per year, not so bad, right? 62, but I had
That's
no life,
amazing.
no life, darling. And then I might be going ahead of myself here, but that's when I realized I needed a coach, I needed support, and I need help, structures. So yeah, then my life changed. That was 2001, my life changed. And then later, as you can ask me, I moved from the Central Valley to this Silicon Valley, but that's another story. But that's what it is. I always love real estate, always, always.
So when you were going through this travail with having way too much to do, just being a human doing, as I like to call people that are not structured in their business, just being a bumper car going from place to place to place, what was it specifically that changed your life at that point? How did you get out of that?
Such a great question. You know, it's so funny because when you have a moment that you finally realize that things have to change, the pain is too much, right? So I had many little moments. I had moments going home at 10 o'clock at night, crying, exhausted, Andrea.
Yeah.
Even though I sold a home that day, even though I was getting business because I was pushing, you know, open house, and dropping flyers and doing everything now I teach to do. But I didn't have the structure. So I was having those moments. But there was one specific moment that I realized my life had to change. It was a Saturday morning. I was waiting for some buyers, my darling. And I've been working with them for 3 months. 3 months, no stop, showing homes. And I wanted to be with my kids at a karate tournament. The kids were already
Oh,
5, 6 years old, and they had a karate tournament, but I couldn't pass because my buyer said, "We are writing an offer tomorrow. We have to buy this house." They found a home that they love it. And I had to choose, my darling,
yeah.
between go to see my kids and go to see those clients. And I thought I was going to write their offer right there. And then I'm waiting. They don't show up. They show up. So I call them and I say, "Hi guys, Vonda here. I'm here in the office. We're supposed to meet to go over the offer and write an offer the house that you guys saw yesterday. So let's get going. Are you guys coming?" Nothing. Then I went to the bathroom. When I came back, there was a message from them on my voicemail. I remember like yesterday. I was in my cubicle, you know, in my third year in the business, 2.5 years in the business, 2.5 years in the business. I still had a cubicle at Coldwell Banker, and I'm sitting here, and the message said that, "Hey, Vonda, thank you for your time. We want to say thank you, but we don't need your help anymore. We went out yesterday in open house. We bought a home."
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah.
story? And I put my head down and I cried. So that moment it hit me, Andrea. I said, "Listen, I'm a former basketball player. I'm a former athlete. You know, something is wrong. I'm not doing the right way here, because how can I be making money and be miserable? How can I don't know what to do and have the situation come to me?" I said, "I'm going to become a listing agent and I'm going to learn what to do." And I realized, I said, "Shit, I need a coach. I need a coach to go to another level." So it was 2001. I hired my coach, and darling, the story changed completely, because then I learned what to do. And everything I learned from him, I was fortunate to have a good coach. Everything I learned from him, I made it better. I made it better. So I was able to sell more homes, but to have a life, Sunday off, Saturday by appointment. So everything changed, darling. And I have never stopped having a coach in my life. And you know it.
I know you have coaches now, and I believe firmly in coaching. Coaches, for those of you who are watching, are the equivalent of a therapist for a person in normal life. Having a coach, I'm constantly whining to Vonda about some terrible problem or some such, and she always gets me over the hump and makes me realize what my error was, because she's pretty good at tough love, but she also will set me up for success for the next exchange that I have with some people. So coaches are absolutely important and crucial. And I also do believe that people don't understand the pressure that is on real estate agents. People expect us to be available all hours of the day and night, but they don't feel answerable to us, which is unless you've managed to create a relationship with them that is based on mutual respect. And at the very beginning of people's careers, very often they don't know how to do that. And people look at us just as a commodity, like Vanna White. We can turn the letter over, we can open the door. But the
Right.
reality is, it's a very complicated profession, and it's a very complicated task to help
Yeah,
somebody find a house or to list a house.
yeah.
And it's important to have systems in place and to set boundaries, because people will take advantage of you heartlessly if
So
you don't.
true. That's one of the things, this roller coaster that people don't have the balance and they don't know what to do.
Well, I have a question for you. You brought up the fact that you're an athlete. Tell us a little bit more about that. It's the Olympics right now. I'm curious about you and your athleticism. And by the way,
I love it.
you should know Vonda is what? How tall are you, Vonda?
Only 5'3".
She is 5'3", and she's going to tell you about being a basketball star in a second.
Well, and I love you asking that question, because one of the things I want to make sure today I leave you guys with this beautiful message. I'm so excited to be here talking with Andrea. And one of the messages I wanted to share with you guys is really to believe everything is possible, because I'm a full example of that. And as Andrea said, this real estate industry is wonderful. At least I love what we do. I believe you do too, but it's not easy. It can be very simple, but it's not easy. Actually, it's a very hard job. So when I was about 12 years old, my mom had a friend who was married to a writer, a famous writer in the States, someone who was more established, because my mom was a single mother, 5 kids. She separated from my dad when I was 10. So we were struggling. I mean, no money. We had a lot of love, but no money, no security, no comfortableness, because it was moving. Andrea, I moved 3 times in 1 year. So sometimes, that's one of the reasons I was so driven to achieve success and grow, because we had a very hard time in the beginning. So this is what happens. I'll try to be as concise as possible. So one time, my mom's told me that her best friend offered me to spend 2 weeks with them on vacation. So because, no money to go to camp or stuff like that. But anyways, but we had friends, right? So I had the opportunity to go for 2 weeks at my mom's friend's house, who was married to this writer poet, and he had a daughter 2 years older than me. But I gotta tell you, Andrea, I was very geek. It's hard to believe, but I was a very geek girl, and I had thick sunglasses. I didn't speak really well. I had a problem with my diction, so I was a nerd. All I did was read 2, 3 books a week, and that's what I did. Especially because one time we went like 2 years without television. That's how poor we were. So I was reading. So when I walk into this house, Andrea, I was like this. There was books everywhere, because remember, the guy is a writer, a poet. There was
Right.
book everywhere. And I don't know if you know that, but books in Brazil are very, very expensive. So I walked in, I just went to heaven, and I started reading books. So I ended up never playing so much outside with his daughter and everybody else, because I was reading book. So by the time the 2 weeks finished, he called my mother. I'm trying to speak a little fast because it's so much information, but that's how it started. He called my mother. He said, "I'm very impressed. I'm a writer, as you know, and I love reading and all. And your daughter was here and she was reading all day. And I know she goes to public school. By the way, at this level, public school in Brazil is really bad. And I want to, my sister owns a school, here, a private school, and I want to give her 1 year scholarship based on
Oh,
books. And
oh,
I will pay for the school. My sister owns the school. I'll pay for the school. I'll pay for her uniform and for her books. Ooh, give me goosebumps. That was my first
beautiful.
scholarship because of books. I got my scholarship and books. So when I went to this private school, my eyes went like this. And I'm meeting people on a whole different level, and our different great teachers and everything. And then I fell in love with sports, and I tried to play some basketball, and I fell in love with basketball. And because I'm a little dedicated, can you tell the energy? I have a lot of energy being the baby of 5. I started playing basketball, and I did really well, and they drafted me for the school to play. So here I am, 13 years old, playing basketball. And then I played really well because I was so in love, and so a new world for me. And then when the year finished, the coach said, "Oh, okay, now we're going to go to the second level." I said, "No, I have to leave. My scholarship is only 1 year for my book scholarship." He said, "You're not leaving. I'm going to talk to the director of the school and make sure you stay here, and we're going to give you a basketball scholarship."
That is so lovely.
Oh, darling, I got a basketball scholarship at the age of 13, all the way to college. That coach, talking about the power coach, he took me to every school that he went, and every time was a better school because he sold me and as an athlete. But of course, I made sure I wasn't the best. So I was practicing 4 or 5 hours a day, because if I was not good in basketball, they'll kick me out of the team, they'll kick me out of
Right.
the school. So that's how I got into basketball. And I dedicated so much, Andrea, so much that at the age of 17, I was the MVP of the state.
That is so
Thank you. So I'm bragging a bit, everyone. So my shooting ratio, it was about 85.7% from in the court. So everything that I learned in basketball as ratio, understanding the power of practice and consistency, I applied to real estate. That helped
Right.
me. So today, a lot of the things I have, my level of discipline and focus, consistency that I work every day, but I have a lot to thank for my former basketball time and my coaches as well.
That is super great. Well, speaking of energy, you wrote a book, which is a wonderful book, and everyone who's listening should get a copy of this book. It's called, is it The Art of Energy?
The art of high energy.
The Art of High Energy. And if anyone personifies that, it's Vonda. Tell
Thank
us a
you.
little bit about your book and what motivated you to write it and what people should get out of it when they read it.
I appreciate it. First of all, I know you're gonna love it. I love it. I love it. It's a funny story. When I released the book, I didn't know what part of the shell the Amazon was gonna put into, right? Many people
Mhm.
might think because about energy and self-development and all that. I thought might be on the life or self-development or maybe even self-help. But no, it made top 10, excuse me, bestseller list on Amazon in business
Wonderful.
because I use a lot of the strategies that I learned from self-development with energy and basketball in my life towards business. So it was really good. Well, what happened is, as I was telling you about my growing up in Brazil, poor, and seeing my mom struggle with two, three jobs and trying to feed and us and without skills, without a lot of qualification. She was a hustler. She was really an amazing, amazing lady. But I got sick and tired of see her suffering. And one day I saw her 4:30 in the morning getting up for the first job, and she was exhausted. I can see she was crying. I was like 12 and a half years old, and I told myself, I'm gonna learn what it takes to be financially successful.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
learn what it takes to be wealthy so I can help my mom, so we can have a life that has more security, more peace of mind and comfort, and also a little bit of options, right? We were so poor
Mhm.
and everything. So I made a decision, Andrea, and that decision made a commitment. I went to some events that I noticed that people that had goals, they writing their goals, they had affirmations. So at 13 years old, sweetie, I was doing affirmation. I had affirmations on my wall. And then I realized that people who are succeeding, they had a different kind of energy, not just crazy fun energy, but directed energy, optimistic. They had some kind of energy. So I fell in love with that. So at the age of 17, I started studying energy. And people would say to me, Vanda, you have such a great energy. Oh, Vanda, you have so much high energy. And they would say, yeah, they would say, you should borrow that. You should sell that. So around 20, 21 years old, I told my family, you know what? One of those days, I'm going to write a book about energy and how energy is so powerful and builds who you are, right? You probably heard the
Mhm.
saying, change your energy, change your life. So
Yeah.
I did. So all my life, energy has been a constant in my life. It helped me a lot of real estate. One of the things people tell me all the time is not only the skills, I saw the other agents as well, but what really show up for us besides your knowledge, skills, and expertise was your level of energy.
Right.
We wanted
Right.
someone like you representing us. So I realized I needed to share this. I wanted to share this. So finally, I wrote a book. Second language, right? I wrote a book in English. I had someone help me to edit because, again, some people never even wrote a book in their own language, and the second language is way more difficult.
Yeah,
And so
no
I'm
kidding.
very proud. And last year, actually, I released the book in Portuguese. So yeah, thank you. It's been wonderful. And in the book, I really made as simple, easy as possible to help people to understand the power of your energy, mental, emotional, and physically in business and life and relationships. And I give a lot of strategies, a lot of us steps by step. I want it to be powerful, but also easy to follow through.
It's a wonderful book, and it really captures Vonda's essence. And
Thank
beyond
you.
capturing her essence, it also will help you to identify how to be your authentic self along with your clients and bring your own specific energy to whatever it is you do. One of the
So
things
true.
that always has amazed me about you, Vonda, is your incredible use of language. And I know that you are a student of all different kinds of things. And I know that you work with some what they call neuro-linguistic programming. It's a big part of staying on top of what you're doing to focus on the positive things you can possibly focus on and to bring your best self by not using defeatist language. Like the word try should leave everybody's vocabulary. You're not going to try to do something, you're going to do something. And I've learned a lot of these things from Vonda. Tell us a little bit about the study of language and the study of different people's work that you've done over the years that has gotten you to the place that you're at.
Oh my gosh, thank you, darling. Yeah, again, I can talk about this forever because this is a song that sings in my heart. I'm a eternal student, Andrea.
Yes.
If I'm not learning, if I'm not moving ahead, I am decaying, dying, and that's for me is unacceptable. So I tell you right away, I work on myself minimum 2 to 2.5 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up. So I've been doing like this. So I was very fortunate that my grandmother, when I was 11 years old, I was visiting my father. My mom and dad was already separated, and I was visiting my grandmother and her daughter, my aunt, took me to this meeting. It was a Japanese, what do you call, like I don't want to say religion, but it was a movement. And they were
Mm-hmm.
talking about your words, an expression of your mind, and everything you say becomes your reality. And the
Right.
truth, and you should speak the truth. And they talk about like when you say, "Hi, how are you?" And people say, "Not bad." So like too negative, and what your brain here is bad. So they say you should always have elevated words and talk to you with about you and think in better quality, quality of the words, because your words reflect your mind. So I laughed and I like, I have to be very careful what I say to myself, what I say to the world, and how I speak. So I started becoming very conscious. And consciousness is power, right? Very aware how not only I show up with my energy, my body, but also how I express myself. So I started being very careful. I was writing my affirmation. I was doing visualization without knowing it was a thing, just dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're broke and you insecure at home, sometimes it's easier to close your eyes or even just dream awake, right? But I would stop paying attention. So instead of saying I'm tired, I would say I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy, but I will never say I'm tired. And I know for
Mm-hmm.
some people might be in denial, but it worked for me. So for
Yeah.
the longest time, it's funny you ask, for the longest time, it was, people say, I never heard you say you're tired. I say, I don't say tired. I say, I need a nap. I'm going to take a break, or I'm a little sleepy, because I want to make sure that I'm programming my mind. And after that, I start reading and reading books, like great books from O. Nightingale, from Jim Rohn, one of my great mentor. I was able to see him live twice. So I started really become a student of self-development, of
Mm-hmm.
energy, of the power of your words, and also how you can manage your energy, regulate your emotions. So this is what I do. I'm always pay attention. So when you come to me as a real estate agent or a team leader, also an agent, an entrepreneur, I want to give a holistic approach. I don't want to just to teach you the sales skills that I do. I teach you the sales skills, the business skills, right? The personal skills, but also in the personal skills, the mindset skills, like how to become more optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
because it's important. You attract what you think most of the time, you get what you expect. So I became a student of how to manage your energy, manage your emotions, to become more focused, more consistent, more persistent, have build more resilience. So this is what I do all day long. I'm studying what next skills I need to learn so I can bring it to you. If it's sales skills from communication, persuasion, how to present, do a listening presentation, follow up. So it's all about learning. So I'm always improving, learning, studying, NLP, taking some lessons, know to speak, act, listen actively. So I love that. Can you tell?
Yes, I can. And it's part of what has made the last 8.5 years for me really meaningful too, because I have a tendency to go inward and be a little introverted. And I also have a tendency to catastrophize, just like a lot of people do. And you have always gotten me out of those kinds of holes. And you have, through tough love and through love, you've really helped me along the way not to give into that, which is really, really cool. And, you are so inspiring.
Thank
my
you so
my
much.
both sets of my grandparents were immigrants to this country, and so as a person who has immigrants in their very recent past, I know how hard it is for people who come to this country with the clothes on their back to make it in this country. And you're a living embodiment and example of that. I am so impressed by anyone who immigrates to this country because America is a wonderful land of dreams, but it's also a very difficult place to make it if you don't have connections and you don't have a pre-established community, what have you. And you have succeeded doing that, which means to me that I put you on a pedestal because of that.
Oh,
I
thank you.
love immigrants who succeed in this
Thank
country.
you. Now, Andrea, is because I stand on the shoulders of amazing people.
Yeah.
Right? I have had coaches since I'm 12, 13 years old, basketball coaches, right? Then I had business coach. In 2001, I had my first coach, and everything they taught me, they made better. I never forgot one of my coach that helped me to become the number one agent in the city, number one agent in the county, and top 100 in California. And Tony DiCello, this Italian guy who coached me for 4 years, and he helped me with everything, and everything I got better. And he would say to me, Vonda, you have a great energy. You have a great smile. So you are doing great on the phone because I learned the skills. Because again, your accent, by the way, if you have an accent and you're telling the story, oh, my accent, no. If you're not succeeding, it's not your accent. Your accent actually is an asset. Your accent makes you different and unforgettable. If you're not succeeding on the phone or in person, it's because you don't know what to say, but most importantly, how to say, because once you know the skills of talking to people, presentation, setting an appointment, and really create that communication, the beautiful trust, you win. So he came to me one time, I never forgot, because I wanted to succeed. I was like, I am ready winning here, number one agent in the city and units. But by then I had a life, I had time off, I had a home in Tahoe, I'll take a weekend off every month. But I wanted to win. And I'm like you, Andrea, I know you are. I'm competitive. I'm a former athlete. So I'm competitive, and I'm competitive with myself, but I also like to win. I learned to win. So I said, I want to be the number one agent in volume and in units. He said, you got to have more conversation. You got to have more connection. You got to go out there and talk to people. He said, you're very good on the phone already. Now imagine you in person because of that smile, the energy. So that it was 2004, darling. I went and I was in every group that you can imagine. I was volunteering everywhere you can imagine. I was door knocking. I was doing my farm door knock. I was doing open house. I was talking to 100 people a week.
Yeah.
And then
And
my
that's what you have to
business
do.
triple. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So the energy is super important. It precedes you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I have to remind everyone that everything I have today, yes, has to do with my mindset, my skills, my knowledge, my competence, but I would never be here if I didn't have the giants and amazing people that teach me.
Behind you.
By the way,
Yeah.
you are an inspiration for me. As I
Oh,
coach you, as I teach you, I learn a lot because, yeah, when you teach, you learn and you get inspired. You're an amazing lady. You were kicking ass, darling.
well, thank you. So we've touched on the fact that you have had coaches, and now I wanted to touch on the fact that you are a master coach. And I wanted to ask you three things. Number one, when did you make the transition from being a real estate agent to being a coach, and what caused that to happen? And I wanted to ask you about your coaching methodology and how you help agents like me to succeed.
I can appreciate that. Great questions. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I tell right away, real estate is my love, my passion. I love it. I'm still in the industry. I still have a real estate license, by the way. I'm not selling, just buying, selling for my own family, myself. But I love this business. So when I went in real estate, I loved everything. And I was using all my coachability, all my work ethic, and my hunger in the business. Now, right away, I had more business that I could have. So I realized I had to clone myself. Saturday morning, I remember one time I had so many voicemails, so many requests, so many people wanted to do business with me. And I finally realized, Jesus, if I don't grow, I'm going to decay here and have no life. So I believe actually I was the first one to build a team in the Central Valley with Coldwell Banker. People had employees, people had assistants, transaction coordinator, but people didn't have agents under them in the area at all. But I told my broker, I said, I need to clone myself. I can't be in three places at the same time. I cannot give three listings at the same hour to list an appointment. So that's when he understood and I started hiring my team. Darling, I loved it. I realized, oh my gosh. And my family has always told me that I'm always being the coach, trying to guide and help people. So I love coaching them. So I sold a lot of homes, loved the process, but when I saw my team building, growing, I said, oh my gosh, one day I'm going to be a coach. One day I'm going to do this because I love, so selling real estate was my career and passion, but teaching and coaching is my gift and my calling.
That's wonderful.
It's my calling.
That's
Andrea, when I coach you, when I help you to move up, to know what to do, and you leave the call inspired, encouraged with the strategies and know what to do step by step, and I see you succeed, I feel my bones like I'm doing myself and I feel so rewarded. So that is my calling. So I end up doing it. I decided I was going to do it. And I coached for Mike Ferry for a little short time. And I coached for Tom Ferry for a short time. A short time, no, actually 8.5 years. And when I coached for Tom, I was one of his top coaches out of 150 plus. And what happened is I reached a maximum. I was making all those millionaires. I was helping people to break through massive growth, double, triple, quadruple the business
including me.
1 year. Oh, thank you. And then I realized I couldn't grow. Every day it was like 2, 3, 4, 5 people asked me, can you coach me? Can you coach me? And I said, guys, I have no room. I have no room. And just, even someone at the company said, did you know that we have more people asking you to coach than anybody else in the whole company? That, and I'm like, and your waiting list. And I finally realized I need to leave. Thank you, Tom, but I need to leave because it's time for me to give more, to help more people because time was limited. So I decided to leave. And was the best thing I ever did because now I could do what I wanted to do. I put some courses together that have changed people's lives, online courses. I created 2 programs, the VIP and the one-on-one. So that way, people, if you would brand new or 30 years in the business starting over, they could come to me because the programs I could multiply the time. So like the VIP program that we have, Andrea, it's a group program that you're part of it too. You have everything with me, one-on-one and VIP. We are able to do on Zoom live, coach a lot of people per week. And they feel like it's a one-on-one experience because they have me for 3 hours.
Right. Right.
So even though it's a group program, but they have so much coaching and the courses and the groups and the tribe and the support and the library, and they have 3 hours with me per week. So again, what I did is I multiplied my time, but opening these wonderful programs that I can reach to more people, help more people, because you know what's going on right now. Even now they need more help than ever. So that's what I did. And it's been a huge success. It's still growing, like we have wonderful people like you, helping people to build the business that they want, but also have the life that they want to desire. Not only the money, but also have the vibrancy, the health and the energy to enjoy life and have time off. I love that.
This is beautiful. Now, our time has come to an end, unfortunately, but where can people contact you and your business if they want to explore your services further?
Oh my gosh, I love that. So my email is Vanda@vandamartin.com. And follow me on Instagram. I give so much free content, so much energy, so much insights and love. Is Vanda F. Martin. Vanda F. Martin. And hey, Andrew, can I share something that I want to share? Because you're sharing this.
Absolutely.
You are sharing this with amazing people, amazing real estate agents, entrepreneurs, and business people from all over. And I'm seeing so much craziness out there, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much with all the changes that are going on. So I just want to say to you guys some pro tip. And I even wrote down because I didn't want to forget this. I wanted to make sure you guys keep building your relationship, keep nurturing your relationships with everyone, and believe in yourself. You can learn this way. There is an order to this madness. You don't have to suffer real estate. Andrea, I made my mission. And I want to share this. My mission is to make sure you guys know that we're going to have pain in real estate. We're going to have struggles and growing pains, but we don't have to live in suffering.
Beautiful.
If you don't have, right? And you're an example of that. If and when you put the structure in place, upgrade your skills and put some systems in place, you'll be able to sell a lot of homes, help a lot of people, and have a life. I am the proof of that. My clients, my track record. Andrea have a life, so you can still play her piano. So make sure you guys build a lot of value right now, show up strong, and don't ever give up on yourself on real estate. You can do this. Isn't it true, my darling?
Absolutely. This has just been delightful. I am so happy you were here today. Thank you so much, Vanda Martin, Master Coach.
Thank
Take
you.
good
I
care.
appreciate. Thank you, everyone. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon, Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Realizations podcast. I hope our conversation has shed light on the true essence of real estate and the people behind it. As we wrap up, I want to extend my gratitude to our listeners for their support and engagement. Your feedback drives the heart of this podcast, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to the Realizations podcast and leaving a review. Your support helps us reach more listeners and spread our message of positivity in the real estate industry. Until next time, remember to keep an open mind, embrace empathy, and always seek the good in every situation. I'm Andrea Gordon signing off from Realizations. See you next time.